What's up, guys? Welcome to our live streaming once again of Dining and Doodles, where we do live drawings each week on Saturday nights at 8 p.m. these days. These are mostly done by request, so if you have a request, by all means, leave a comment or send us a message through any kind of the social media to Deviant Arts, and I will be more than happy to add it to the list of the local streaming. And I'm going to do one more thing here before I get going. I'm going to silence my phone. All right. So, what we have here, of course, is going to be a request this week to draw Sailor Mars from the Sailor Moon series. And I have absolutely admiration about Sailor Moon. It was one of the series that got me started in anime. I was in high school when Sailor Moon came out, and I will go into more detail as we go on. And also, for those who don't know, this is a sponsored stream. We are sponsored through Built Bar, and I will be doing a message for them at the end of the stream. So let's get on over to the drawing. So, once again, I'm doing these live now instead of doing the VStudio and VDraw simply because they've been buggy each time. So this is a way for me to be able to do these and do them live. So, hi out there. Those who don't know me, I am Brittany Dotson. I am an artist and writer, creator, whatever you want to go through. I create a series called Demon Blade that comes out every Friday through Webtoons and Tapastic and a few other sites, as well as it's available on Amazon through Amazon Prime. You can get it for free to read each issue as they come out. Now, we're going to be doing Sailor Mars. Now, as you see, I've already done sort of a pose setup that I wanted to put into this image. So we've got the look here of Sailor Mars that I want. I want to sort of have her have a fire swirl, being that she is the element of fire in the series. And we wanted to give sort of a nice big old full pose for her. So one of the things that we do have, as always, we have a reference. And this time, usually in the past, I'm used to doing the 1980s to 90s Sailor Moon that everybody sort of grew up with. I grew up with in high school. It was one of the things I would get myself up 30 minutes earlier than I had to for going to school just so I could watch Sailor Moon. I loved the series. Yes, it was horribly dubbed, but by God, I loved the cheese of the old series. I'm slowly making my way through Crystal now, and yes, it's still something I love. I enjoy watching the series, but I don't want to rush it. I've watched some of Crystal before, but now that it's on Netflix, I'm going through and actually sitting down and watching everything that's come out so far. Mars was never really the kind of character I always identified with. Like many people, I think I identify more with Jupiter. It helps that I'm a brunette, she's a brunette, I'm tall, she's tall, that kind of scenario. And I mean, it was also personalities. Mars, I mean, she definitely in Crystal and in the manga has a better personality than she did in the old anime. She was a bit of a brat and stuck up. Well, I mean, the proper word is bitch. She was the bitch of the group. Now, mind you, if you're going to do a series and give personality to the characters, yeah, Mars could be the stuck-up one. She could be the snobby, stuck-up sort of bitchy character that they made her in that series. but she's not really that character in the manga. In Crystal as well. She's more of the spiritualist, as always. She still is, and she is sort of beauticious one. She's the one that's more focused on her beauty and look, which is odd considering Venus is the one of beauty and love, but she's more focused more on her role as a leader of the four, as well as being sort of a semi-famous superhero to having fame. She went for fame, Mars went with just beauty. So Mars is sort of the typical, atypical Japanese beauty of that time when the story was created that goes about, it still kind of plays in. I know Japan has very high standards for women on how they look, how they dress, and how they act in public versus how they are in person. So I mean, it's a higher standard for women than men, very much so. In that sense, they have to maintain a certain look. They have to go out with makeup. They have to go out with fashionable looks because it's expected of them. I don't like the way that brow is done. We'll do the brows later. Let's see here. Get the nose. Pretty much one of the things I kind of, in my years of being a fan of the series, kind of came to understand is almost all of the scouts or the guardians have a similar facial feature, which is the eyes. They don't really alter. I mean, you could almost just color. It's just a color swap of where one's eyes meet and one's hair color and skin tone meet. So when drawing them, they all start out fairly the same in the series. Of course, their uniforms are uniform. They all have sort of the same look for what uniforms are gonna be. I need to do a little bit different there. Let's go down, bring this on over, and over here, down, and I don't like that there. All right, let's bring that over here, and we'll fix the neck line. So let's bring her down and over there, down and over here. Of course, her crown's going to come in, down, and we need to get the circle. So, I mean, as I was saying, these are uniform looking characters. You can swap them out from the basis, and they're pretty much the same. And I mean, I get it when when you're gonna do a series, you're gonna draw a lot of that character. You're gonna want to have some similarities as you draw, in almost a style as you draw, that you want to have in your characters. So it makes it a little faster for you to draw them, especially if you're going to do a manga or something therein that you're going to be drawing this character over and over and over again. while things have changed since then with technology, we have better art programs, including the one I'm using right now, which is Clip Paint Studio. I use it for all my drawing, and the industry uses it for their drawing and illustration because it's a lot easier, a lot faster to do it. You kind of want to still have a little bit of uniformity in how your characters are drawn. That's kind of why in series like One Piece, people say Oda only draws, they say 2 women, but actually he draws about 4. And most of them are going to look mainly like Nami or Robin. So you're going to have 1 or 2 types that are going to be off. I mean, even Boa and Robin are kind of similar. So, I mean, even saying that there's difference in characters is going to be the same. And it's just a simple way of designing a character. It makes it go faster the more familiar you are with that character, the more familiar you are with different characters that are similar in their build. So right now we're just going to focus on getting our base built up. We've got this. She's going to have her ribbon right there. And actually needs to go in a little bit. And clean that up a little bit. Oh, too much. Clean up just a little there. All right. And then we add the bottom half of the ribbon. Now, when I talk about Sailor Moon, I honestly have to talk about the creation of my own series, or my own sort of persona online. Embryo Arts got its start, so the website itself got its start with a Sailor Moon fan fiction. It is still up there on to this day. I am not going to be shamed into having created it, although I am going to be shamed of what I created. It's not the best fan fiction out there. It's not the worst fan fiction out there. It's one of the oldest fan fictions out there. At least online, that have remained. I can't vouch for many, but I remember the time I created it, GeoCities was the big go-to for fan fiction. So that tells you something. A lot of it was written in my college's sort of rec areas for us to relax and whatnot, because they had computers in there. So I would write them and then I would email them to myself, because at the time we didn't have drives. We were just getting to where we had CD burns. So, I mean, if I could get a floppy disk in there, and yeah, 3x5, I had a bunch of them in college at my disposal, and they were full of this, and they were full of other fan fiction I wanted to read at the time, because at the time it took forever to download anything. So if I had the chance to download a bunch of fan fiction and read it on my own computer at home without it going online, by God, that's what I would do with my free time. Because I would have periods between my classes. I was an art student. I would have classes and studios that would last all day, but I would have gaps between them of about 3 hours. So usually I'd get something to eat. I'd pick up some manga or a comic book at the time because I was still reading Marvel comics around the early periods of my college career. And I would literally have a burger, sit down at some grease hole, and read. Uh, and that's if I couldn't get onto a computer in the student sort of rec areas. That was my college life. I was not a alcoholic. I was not someone who went into large groups. I was a very isolated person. But then my classes were, you got to know the students you worked with a lot more. So the staff and the students had a larger connection to each other because we would be seeing each other for 8 to 9 hours a day as we sat there and did life drawings or uh, whatnot. So, what were my opinions of early Sailor Moon? As I said, I was a huge fan. Um, I loved to sit there and watch the series. Um, I think what really hooked me on the series more than anything was watching Nephrite's death in the old series because it was rare for kids shows or cartoons in general in America to have a death scene. Um, and I know there were older series and whatnot, but it wouldn't really cover it as brutal as that one scene was. And I kind of regret that in Crystal they don't have that scene in there. That this whole now given it was wholly anime. It was an original anime creation scene, but by God, I remember bawling my eyes out and going to class that morning, and I was just like devastated. And I watched this show at 5:30 in the morning, and it would just compound you. And it amused me that once Cartoon Network got the right for Toonami to have Sailor Moon on, that there would be two shows that I would always go in and see playing on our big sort of, there was this big communal eating area for students that had a TV, and the students chose what was on TV to watch. There were two shows that always were on because I'd always get off on the same time, and they would be Sailor Moon and Jerry Springer. In fact, the Jerry Springer aired at the same time as Dragon Ball, so they weren't watching Dragon Ball. They would cut to Sailor Moon to watch Sailor Moon, and that amazed me that a bunch of people in college preferred to watch what was basically figured at the time as the girly show over the more macho Dragon Ball Z. And that always kind of just stunned me. But I mean, that was sort of the personality and power that this series had because it was something that we didn't really see as an American audience before. We wouldn't see this sort of kind of content. I remember right at my 18th birthday, right as I turned 18, my family was on a trip to Vancouver. And we broke up a little bit to go do our own thing for a little bit. And I walked into a Vancouver comic book shop, and it was the first time I got to see Sailor Neptune, Sailor Uranus, and Sailor Pluto as figurines. And it was the first time I got to see these dolls, and it astounded me. I didn't know about these characters outside of the internet, but it was the first time I was seeing these characters in merchandise. And it's because the comic book store was getting them imported from Japan. And for some reason, all I could get is, while I do have the figurines, I have them behind me on the shelf somewhere. I do have the original figurines that I think Mattel released. That they did release eventually, I think in 2000. Um, the series didn't really get that much merchandise, even though when it came out, I remember them making big to do. It was going to be the girls' superhero show, but it was panned because it taught girls how to fight, and they were worried the merchandise wouldn't sell. And I could rarely find Sailor Moon figures out there. Um, for the longest time, that when I did, I finally picked them up, and I bought 6 of them. And there's a reason I bought 6 of them. Because when I created my original fan fiction, I used 1, which was an extra Sailor Moon, as my character creation. And I think she's still over there somewhere. And it's good to sort of have an idea of where one starts. And Sailor Moon definitely brought in my love of anime to the forefront. It wasn't the first anime I saw, by far. It was the first anime I saw, predated it by about 2 decades. And I will discuss that one on another show at another time. It's actually 2 of them, but I'll get into those. But when we talk about series like Sailor Moon that are so impactful, so important to sort of us as a culture and how we've grown, I mean, as we speak, we have the Olympics and coming on in Japan, and they had anime sort of surrogates to be part of the Olympics. And of course, Sailor Moon was up on the forefront. She's one of the characters that are added because you've got to acknowledge what impact it has caused in the sort of stratosphere of fandoms. Of course, Dragon Ball and One Piece are also in that category, and I love that they are. And I mean, we don't know. I haven't been watching the Olympics. So I don't know how big of a role. I do know they played the haiku music during a volleyball tournament, which is only fitting. Well, I guess yeah, it's very fitting. Haikyuu is a definitely good series that I've watched recently. Just trying to get the hair right. Right now, she looks more like Venus than she does Mars, in my opinion. Um, Maybe I will fix her eyes a little bit. She does have a bit smaller eye, so Might fix her eyes as we go. Let's see. Hers, of course, her big difference is she's the only scout, guardian, whatever you want to call them, in heels, and you gotta respect a woman in heels kicking ass as she is. I mean, I'm not going to be out there wearing heels and fighting. I can barely handle walking straight in heels. I am definitely not going to go out there and kick ass with them. I have watched, let's see, Sailor Moon. I've watched the live action. Um, it was interesting. Definitely seeing Mercury, of all of them, to go dark. Not my favorite live action series, uh, animated live action series, but it was enjoyable. It's not the worst. It is amusing, to say the least. I did like the music in that series. Um, of course, I have the original series on DVD, but I think it's the ADV release, which is very rare, a very rare copy of the series, and I have it somewhere in storage, also all on VHS from its original recordings. And my God, that was one of the series that I went through tapes like crazy as a teenager. On because I would, while I recorded it at the maximum so I could fit the most of TV shows, I probably recorded that show every day, even if I had the episode, to get a better quality, or because I felt that something interrupted it. Yeah, I'm gonna fix those eyes because yeah, she does look too much like Venus right now. And as I said before, I mean, there's always not to fret over mistakes. You just keep going. You make your mistake, you fix it, and you move on. Let's try and do slightly slant her eye. Because in the anime, if you really look at it, especially with Crystal, she's sort of got the more slant to her eye. Or at least that's the way they draw her, to give her a little bit more difference than her fellow guardians. Give her hair a little bit of notation there. We need to do her back bow, which is 2 segments. And actually, we're going to erase a bit of her arm back here to do it. So we're going to do 1. Let's see how they go. Is it 1 under it? No, it's over. So the first one goes over, and then the next one goes over there. And we're going to set it there. We're going to finish her hand over on this end. Bring the thumb out. We're going to do the forefinger like we've got or index finger, and then well, let's do this actually. Let's do forefinger, or index finger, and her middle finger out. Let's give her her mandala. Or spirit scroll. Evil spirit, when she says. So we'll do that. Then bring her other fingers in. Do I have any characters I didn't like in Sailor Moon? Not really. I mean, there were some characters that were annoying. Um, Chibi Usa, of course, or Rennie as she was in the 90s. She got grading, but she got better, maybe, I would say, almost. I am glad to see that Crystal kept the gun. That is by far one of the more humorous things. Unfortunately, I think if it were done today in America, with the way the dubbing and subbing was going, if it weren't from Viz, who sort of likes to keep things raw as is, they could edit, but they don't at times. If it weren't for Viz, they probably would have X'd out the gun. Because that is a interesting sort of introduction. Definitely to have your child from your future come and pull a gun on you and threaten to kill you. Now, given at the point the audience didn't quite know, I mean, the character design kind of gave it away, but still, you could easily tell that she was going to be Usagi and Momo's child. In the way she was designed. But I mean, I loved how they tried to play up the gimmick that, well, maybe she's this character's child, or maybe she's this character's child. No, 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 no. We know who she was. It's it wasn't that hard to figure out in the series. And I mean, it was a nice progression. It's probably one of the better time travel parts that I an anime that I kind of like. And there are better ones. Steins Gate is definitely a far better one with time travel. I'll even give Haruhi Suzumiya a little bit of break when they do some time travel stuff elements. But yeah, Sailor Moon. I liked elements of the time travel. I liked that Pluto was the gate of time. She was always standing there, always sort of being stuck. And that Crystal finally gives her rightfully her time outside of that life. So her time at the gate is finally taken past, and so she can go out and live a life, for God's sake. Um, I mean, can you imagine being stuck watching a door for centuries? Oh my God. All right. I think we've got the form pretty much done. Let's focus a bit more on the eyes because they have the unique way that she drew eyes, which needs to be focused on. I think it's one of the key things if you're going to do Sailor Moon characters, if you're going to draw them in a fan fiction or fan art or something like that, the eyes are important for her. It's one of the first sort of things I've drawn before. Was for my own fan fiction to get these eyes. So they're almost wide-eyed children. Well, I mean they are wide-eyed children. They're wide and expressional eyes, and it's pretty much for any of the heroes in the series, with the exception of Momo, who is more of a small slanted. Well, Uranus also has small slanted. But then Uranus is supposed to sort of be, oh, is it a guy? Is it a girl? It's one of the first lesbian couples that children were introduced to, unless you watch the Cloverfield dub, which was the Americanized version dub. And I will not give Dick that. DIC. I will not give them that threat. Many people will, but it was Cloverfield. That's the name of the people who dubbed that season. And they dubbed, yeah, kissing cousins. Yeah, not the smartest move. Very, very bad idea in modern sense of anime. Gosh, no, I'm not doing the eyes right. I'm doing the eyes wrong. I'm thinking more along the lines of something else. They have a thick eyeline. So I was kind of right the first time. All right. See, there I go. See, I'm not focusing on how she did it. So she does thick line on the eye. Oh. Then in the case, when we get to color, Mars has a dark purple. It goes into this lavender light or underline. And she's got her pupil. It sort of integrates there. And a huge white with a small white. Highlight. Get a little bit of the white on this side. And we'll bring up a little bit of white on this side. She doesn't do too much white in the eye. which is kind of rare, but it was the style that she went with, that the creator went with. So she did a lot more expressive makeup sort of look to the characters. So we want to make sure that the makeup is prominent. And I remember when the series came out, when the series started in America. One of the big things they were arguing about was that it was teaching little girls. I think it was more of a problem, less the problem that it was teaching girls to fight than it was teaching girls that they needed to wear makeup. Yeah, which is more dangerous in this world? A girl learning how to wear makeup or a girl fighting someone? Yeah. Let's learn our priorities a bit. I'm going to come back across with the crown a little bit here. Do the line right here. Now, I did do fan art earlier, back, I think it was before Crystal really started. It was announced, but it didn't start. And I think I'll pull up a Mars design that I did after I get the drawing done, just to show you something that I put together. Because when I did the fan fiction, I sort of rewrote the fan fiction in, gosh, I'd like to say 2015, 2000. Yeah, 2015. No, not 15. 2012 is when I started redoing it. 2015 is when I put it down again. When I worked on that fan fiction a bit, one of the things I gave them was I wanted to give them the main 5. I wanted to get, well, 6 because I included Chibi Moon. And with that, I wanted to give them upgrades towards their powers. Because, of course, if you're going to do a story arc with them, they're the main characters. I mean, essentially, you want them to have an upgrade. And one of the things I did for an upgrade was gave them armor, actual physical armor. One, they were being treated more, they were going toward more into their adulthood. They were at the end of their high school years. And so I wanted to treat them more as they were growing up and learning what they wanted to do in their life. And the only one that was separate, of course, was Mars, because she was in her all-girls school. And if you go through the series, she's the only one that doesn't sort of go to the same high school as the others. While they go into separate, I mean, Venus goes separate school in middle school years. When they get to their high school years, she joins the others in the same classes at the same school. But Mars was sort of always that sort of outlier. She went to a different school. She was training to be, of course, take over the temple that she was at. Too far there. And see, we hit a little spot there. Getting her where she's going to be. All right, let's get the red on her choker. We've still got to do her earrings, which we haven't even drawn in. And we've still got to add more details into her. So we've still got a little ways to go. We're just doing the sort of quick color layout as we go, because it helps to organize. Give her smile. Then I'm gonna do, she has lipstick, do her lips. Well, and lower lip. We'll clean this up a little bit. As we go. And color. Did I leave a gap there? I probably did. All right. Color that. Add some shadows while we're at it. So right here, down into the kneecap. And we're just going to shadow in her foot completely right there. Right here, her kneecap is, so we're going to go there, there. So we're having a light source coming this way. So we want to focus right on where that light source is going to be as we draw it out. So get her thigh there. So that means that arm right there. Give me the shadow right there. Her head's going to create a shadow like that. And we're going to do shadow of her nose, ear. We'll add her earrings in a second, and we're actually going to do a little bit of a shadow off of her eye. less on this side. Just a hint of a shadow on this side. No, too much. Little goof there. All right, now we're going to add the shadow of her skirt. And I just realized her back bow is red. And we also have, didn't fill out the arm. There we go. All right. So let's see here. We're going to do a slight one right here. Another one right in there. Shadow right in here. Right in here. One right in here. And then we're actually going to bring shadow down there. And we want to bring in light tones into the ribbon and back. Now we've gotta close it off right there. There we go. And then, is it 3 lines on her uniform? Yes, 3 white lines. So we're going to zoom out. Zoom into where we're actually going to be drawing these. And it's 3. So we 1. That'll be 2. So let's do the side 1. 2. 2. 3. 1. 2. All right. I'm actually going to do a darker gray. I'm actually going to use this gray here for the under. We're going to do 1, 2, 3. Okay, zoom in, and it's still that gold round gem. And it's just a glowing sort of glimmer, so there's no real shadow in this gem. So let's try and make it look more gem-like as best we can. And we'll try and make this look as gold as we can. Now, one of the tricks, whenever you're going to do gold in a drawing or influence of gold in art, You don't want yellow. Yellow is going to be sort of your highlight color. You want an orange to burnt yellow look. And then you want to sort of almost severely go to a yellow at points to do sort of highlights. And that's the way, because it's the way gold is. It sort of does this sort of metallic glimmer. It's dark in nature, and then it has a bright, striking highlight to its dark nature. So we're going to just do like a light here and a light right there. And if you doubt me, I will zoom in, and you only get that one little bit of gold right there, or yellow right in here with the drawing. You get mostly orange. That's the way one goes about doing proper gold whenever you do an art piece. It's usually you start with orange, you work your way out to the light. Actually putting that down there. And we want to do the same sort of gem treatment because this is supposed to be a gemstone on her ribbon. I want to treat them both sort of the same. So I want that dark tone that they kept in there. That's an under. I want to do it over here as well. Under. And then you have white. And actually I kind of goofed on that. It needs to be rounded. There we go. Rounded. Would I, as a fan of Sailor Moon, like to see the series come back in a continuation? That's one of the things that series are doing now. Maybe. Not having been able to fully watch Stars because it wasn't legally available until as it is coming out now. Maybe I would like to see the series come back. But at the same time, I mean, the creator is, of course, married to the creator of Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter. And she has the unfortunate sort of written part and contract, part of the will to take over Hunter x Hunter if it's never finished, because her husband is kind of sickly. So, I mean, she hasn't fully abandoned being an artist over her motherhood. That she is these days, or her wifely duties. I don't know how many children they have. I've not. All I know is they're married. and that they have that contract in there. And I only know that because that simply came out recently. That contract was put in place, so she is set to complete Hunter x Hunter if the creator passes. Sadly, um, before the series is done, we know it's in strong hands. That's a benefit. Um, Hunter x Hunter, I I enjoy it. I don't see the raving enjoyment that other people do in it, but I mean, I have some friends that are well into it more than I am. But I mean, I enjoy it. It's got its quirks. It's too much of that laughter going in there. Still too much. Okay, you go there. Let's see, where are we missing? Down here. You're missing because of that. All right. There, there. All right, she has. And we're doing something up top that we're not hitting. Maybe it's you. Let's see. There we go. I did that wrong. That should be that tone. And that's too far. All right, so we need to finish up there. And I think it's good to sort of have a backup plan, especially with the recent passing of the creator of Berserk. It's definitely good to sort of know that a manga will finish in a way for the fans. That being said, I mean, there are creators like Oda. I don't know if he has a backup plan. I think his backup plan is to just dump all that's written or something. Um, for his editors to do that, I really don't think he has an actual backup plan. Um, do I have a backup plan for my own series? Not really. Um, I've written a lot. I probably should put it in a file to at least dump the writings of it. But then I'm not as big as these creations. I have some international fandom. I certainly have a lot of people who subscribe to my work, but I wouldn't say that I'm vital enough to really have a backup plan for if my work had to keep going after I pass or something. I would hope that at least a notation is made on social media that, yeah, I pass, so people quit requesting things, because that would be tragic. Let's see, I think, yeah, let's actually do her lip a bit better service. So let's actually redo the mouth. as I look at it, she really only has her underlip, which is not feasible with makeup. When you put on lipstick, you kind of naturally are going to get your lips together, so it's best to kind of organize that. Let's clean up, do a little cleanup here. Oh, too much. And let's zoom in to get this highlight properly. Okay. Let's bring our highlights. Mars sort of is how I base when I do my own characters and do a highlighted hair or a glimmering hair. Something that's really shiny, want to be like sort of, this is a shiny, well-kept hair. Mars's sort of highlights is sort of what I go with. Because it's sort of the pattern that looks best. Let's add her heel a little bit in this one heel right here. So let's bring her spiky heel down. One of the things I always found interesting in the years I've been drawing Sailor Moon and characters from Sailor Moon is this sort of chest piece. And this is when, especially when I was designing the armor versions that I'm going to show later, they actually have a chest piece. It's a crucial sort of interesting concept in the design. And yeah, if you were going to be fighting aliens and whatnot, you probably want to protect your chest, particularly because of your heart, your lungs. They're vital parts, and you don't want them just blasting away. And let's add some crevice. So add a little bit of crevice to that part. We definitely want to add one right here. So there we have our drawn out figure. I'm actually going to erase, well, not erase, remove. If I can find what layer I have her on. There she is. The original that we worked from. So there we have our Mars drawn in. But we want to do a background. And I said I wanted to do a flame, so we're doing a flame. The key with doing fire, and I'll pull this up because I do have some fire brushes that help with this sense. The key with fire is you have, let's see, I know I have some fire brushes in here somewhere. It goes from red being the center. So you have red. Then you go to orange being the outer. Actually, probably a better orange than that. Brighter orange, definitely. Orange being the outer. So let's actually work outward in on this. Let's go to thicker pen tip. You got white, which you guys probably can't see, so I'm going to do that. which is going to be your main part of the flame, because it's going to be light working outward. So we got white, then we got yellow inside, then we go to orange, and then we go to like a red, bright red, right in the center. That's typically how a flame color-wise goes. So when you start with a drawing like this, where I'm going to be doing fire coming out and whatnot, I kind of want to picture in my mind how it's going to be. So I'm going to do a bright red to sort of line this out. And then I can work from there. And I'm on the wrong layer. All right. So actually, I'm going to thicken this brush a bit. And we're going to go outward. So we're going to be spiraling towards the outward end of her. So we're going to go red, there's no right or wrong, it's just kind of like as we go. So we'll go back and do an orange, and orange can overlap the red a little bit because we're going to be going into the spiral. Come back around. Orange is going to go down that way. Now, let's do this a bit better. I know I've got a brush that does better. Let's see here. I have, let's see, we want not effect line. Clouds. Destruction. That might be the better one to go with. Yeah. So here we go. We've got a brush. So this brush is designed to sort of give us this sort of pattern, and I'm just going to swirl it around. Actually, I don't like that last part of that swirl, so we're going to erase that. And we're just going to work our way out. So we're going to be like, that's our red. Let's go to our orange with this brush. Where was it? There we go. Let's make it a bit bigger. Come on. Oh, I'm hiding. So we're going to go orange. I'm actually going to go, well, crap. Let's go around. Following the sort of same pattern. Then we go yellow. We're going to do another layer here for yellow and one layer for white. yellow, and we want to make it a much bigger brush. So we're going to go let's see here. Unfortunately, I'm having to wait through this because there seems to be a big jump with brush shot sizes and clip paint when it gets to the thousands, which is the larger pixels setup that I've got here. So when I get to that, it's kind of like, oh, well, I want to do it at or jump straight to the maximum size and not the middle sizes there. So I'm just going to kind of go back over, get that yellow. In there, and I might throw in some red at the bottom here. I kind of want to get that yellow all in there because this is going to be our last stages. Might even do another layer of yellow. So let's do you here, and we'll do one more layer there. All right, so this is going to be a brighter yellow. Well, as soon as we change it to the, there we go. And this I kind of want mixing in. So we're going to have a little bit of the brightness. And then lastly, we have white that's going to go in here. Bring Sailor Mars back in. And let's see here. Let's see if we can find some. Go back here. We're going to add touches of yellow and red throughout, and others colors, white and whatnot throughout the drawing. So we'll keep to the colors we've used. I wanted a little bit of red appear down there, so let's put a little red in here. Let's make it stagger. Now, for those wondering, if you do follow my comic series Demon Blade, you note there's not a fire user. Even in the older series, the 2013 series, there was not a fire user. That's because there is one planned. I will say it's a he. It'll be the first true sort of strong personality, let's put it that way, character outside of Mai, meaning he's going to be a bit of an ass. And he's been planned for quite a while. Of course, being he's basically Mai's rival on the group and the team, so he has to be a bit of a clashing personality with Mai. And I kind of got that concept a little bit from Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon did influence me a lot with character writing. Because I liked how she wrote the characters. The art style I do like in the older series, the sort of uh, style they handled particularly the backgrounds in that series. They were a lot of sort of impressionist in style. Um, and being a fan of impressionist art myself, I kind of enjoyed that and seeing sort of this painterly feel to the characters, sort of living space. Add a bit more yellow, blend in there. Then we'll try and make this look like, let's see, I know I've got a good ink brush. Here we go, India ink. And let me look up all right. We're going to use her old school mandala. Actually, yeah. Well, no, that's going to be, yeah. And I'm going to try my best at writing this down. I don't know how well I'll get this, though. Of course, the AFSM is not on there officially. But we're going to try and get it to look to be one of hers. It has been a while since I've tried to do kanji characters by hand. I've done them before. Don't like them. I don't really know my kanji, so that's kind of why I don't like to do it. Is I don't want to offend what I'm doing, because I know the wrong kind of stroke can screw up kanji. And I have not been trained properly in doing these, which is kind of why I'm using a resource for this. So let's see here. And down there. Over. Over there. And then there's this art. And over. And I did that. Let's see here. There we go. So we'll erase that. There's her kanji on her piece. And that's probably it gonna be for her drawing here. But as I said, I'm going to be doing a bit more on this episode. It is a bit earlier than we usually cut off, so we're gonna do a real quick. I'll pull up what I've done in the past a little bit with Sailor Mars. That's really bad. That was done by an effect pen, that's why. All right, let's do this properly here. And I'm already screwing it up. All right, there we go. There's the sum. I've signed it. Now let's see if I can open a piece. Let's see. I've got to even track it down. Let's see. That's main site. Folder contents. Here we go. And where is she? Sailor. Uniscus. Here we go. This is what I drew 13 years ago. It's not the best. This was me trying to do something in Clip Paint Studio and learn. It takes time to learn this kind of stuff, but I mean, this was sort of my concept of redesigning her form. So in her case, I gave her chainmail, some actual, her shortener gloves, made them into a bit of a gauntlet, gave her leg gauntlets, gave her armored shoulder pads, and a locket with Ruby. And the concept was with each one, there were better ones. I would give them armor, as I said before. And I didn't do it all of them. I think Jupiter's probably came out the best, where I gave her more of a Chinese armor here. And I did do Chibi Moon. And I wanted to make her armor a little bit more space-like modern. So, I mean, there's room for the series to adapt if you're a fan and change the series in new ways. And this was just one of the ways that I kind of wanted to go through. Now we're going to get to our sponsor today. Today's sponsor is Built Bar, and I've got a cookies and cream bar right here. And I'm going to eat it because I've not eaten much today. But It is absolutely delicious. This bar in particular is 130 calories, 17 grams of protein, but most of all, best of all, it is only 4 grams of sugar. 4 grams, ladies and gentlemen. And it tastes like an Oreo cookie. That's probably the best part of this. It sort of gives me the calories and protein to keep going through the day, to keep working through the night at times if I have to do it. And it's a good option to replace in place of meals. It's low calorie, low carb, low sugar, high protein, and keto friendly. It is a wonderful replacement for protein bars, but even better replacement for candy bars. If you love candy, and I know I'm a candy addict, and you want to cut back on those sugars, try Built Bar. Honestly, it will help you out. Go to built.com and use the promo code EmbryoArts and get 10% off your order today. It is a wonderful, wonderful treat. And I'm going to be finishing the rest of this at the end of the stream. So, I love this thing. You gotta even swallow it now. But until next time, I want to thank everyone who's tuning in, be it today live or be it anywhere else. And in fact, Kididayo, thank you. Thank you for the pretty comment. Always love to see comments around. If you have a request, put it on in the comment section, or if you want to send through a message, you can also add a request in there. This is always a fan requested concept. If we don't get a fan request, I'll still figure out something else to do. And coming next week, hopefully, I will also be doing a different kind of video content that ties into what I've been doing recently as far as being a reviewer of sorts. So until next time, until next Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I hope to see you again. This is Brittany Dotson signing out. See you in the future.